Now a major change of pace. It's been one of the most extraordinary weeks since the Russian-Ukraine war began. An attempted coup, and the world holds its breath. Is Vladimir Putin under threat? Plenty say he is, but of course the Russian president disagrees. And does the Wagner rebellion mean anything for Ukraine? Does civil unrest in the invading nation help? Tonight, a very special panel. From the Russian side, former close advisor to Putin, Sergei Markov. From Ukraine, defence advisor Yuriy Sak. Both have agreed to come on together. Gentlemen, thank you very, very much for your time. Now, I know there will be a lot of feeling here, and I understand that, but I'll ask you both to allow the other to speak, and I will, of course, give you both an opportunity to respond. So good evening to you both.
Hello.
Sergei, your former boss Putin couldn't stop this march toward Moscow before it began. Is he losing his grip on power in your country?
I don't think that Vladimir Putin losing power. And even on contrary, partly now Putin's support increased as a result of this rebellion. So it's a very difficult situation. In fact, Russia is now in a situation of two wars. One war in Ukraine, which we also believe that kind of civil war, because we believe that 70% of the Ukrainian citizens are Russians. And on the other hand, this is war against half of the global world.
Yuriy, what's your response to some of the things that Sergei just said, and what kind of impact does what happened this week in Russia in terms of the brink of civil war, if you believe it, have on Ukraine and the defence of your nation?
Erin, I just nearly fell off my chair when I heard Mr. Markov say that this is a civil war in Ukraine and 70% of people in my country are Russians. Mr. Markov, read Google or Wikipedia, because you know what you're saying is a complete nonsense. Now, we are Ukrainian people and we are fighting for our independence. We can care less about what is happening in Russia, and indeed the whole world can see that the events of the past week just show that Russia is a failed state. Now, before the events of the last weekend, we all knew that Russia is a terrorist state which is run by war criminals. Now we can see that Russia is also a failed state, and the leader of that country is paranoidly afraid of losing on the battlefield, and he's paranoidly afraid of the possible real uprising inside Russia. And this is why it is plausible to assume that he wants to project this message onto his own people that, look, even an armed uprisal will be stifled. So regardless of what happened really in Russia, and I think it will take some time for all of us to understand, you know, because one of my very good Australian friends, when these events happened, told me that, listen, this doesn't make any sense. It almost looks like, he said, you are going all in a game of poker, and then you're folding without turning your cards. So no logic, no sense. For Ukrainian army, you know, this will not translate into any impact on the battlefield. We are moving forward. We are liberating our lands. We are destroying Russian war criminals and terrorists. And for us, I would like to repeat that, you know, everybody who was involved in that charade in Russia, for us, is a war criminal and terrorist. And there will come a day when they all stand trial for their war crimes and atrocities. The same way they will stand trial for the downing of the MH17 Malaysian Boeing in 2014.
Sergei, I'll give you an opportunity to respond. There's some strong words from Yuriy.
It's not accusation, it's just propaganda which repeated by a Kiev neo-Nazi puppet regime, which had been established by United States of America in 2014 after they overthrown last democratically elected president and imposed a repressive regime. And the evidence is very clear. About 75% is very easy. Everybody could go to internet and to see how many questions from the Ukrainian territory by Russian language and by Ukrainian language. 75% of them through Google by Russian language.
Sergei, that still doesn't give you the right to invade, does it?
Why not? Why not? Why not? If people in Australia...
It's an independent nation, Sergei, that's why not.
It's one case. Then everybody could go to the historian documents. You see that 1,000 here, these people on this territory call themselves Russian. It's another very simple example. Another very simple example about how democratic this regime and so on. Can you understand that democratically way, it's impossible that the language which is native for the 75% could be prohibited in the official sphere of education and media. Can you imagine that somebody in Australia will prohibit using of English language? Of course, it's impossible in democratic country by democratic way. It's very good example that it's not democratic. Then
so on the basis of that, you invaded Ukraine, on the basis of what you're saying.
No, but Ukraine is not our enemy. Ukraine is our brother country, which we sent our army to liberate.
I'll go to Yuriy now to respond to that. Ukraine is their brother. Yuriy, you've been on the ground. You've seen the bloodshed firsthand. How do you respond to a former Putin advisor saying that you are Russia's brother, family?
Mr. Markov, 3 days ago, a Russian Iskander ballistic missile hit a pizza place in the city of Kramatorsk, killing 12 people. Now, among those 12 people, there were 3 Ukrainian children. Now, because you say everything you say, you killed those people. You are a terrorist and a war criminal, and believe you me, there are sufficient norms in international public law to make sure that every accomplice to terrorist activities and war crimes will stand trial. So be very careful about what you say, because the International Criminal Court is already being set up and the evidence is being collected. And supporting terrorists makes you a terrorist.
I understand where you're coming from, Yuriy, but we do have to be careful with those kind of allegations in this instance, given we don't know Sergei's direct involvement.
Children are being killed every day.
That absolutely. No, I understand exactly where you're coming from. I just have to do my job here as well. Sergei, do you not understand Russia's invasion has failed miserably? You've got to acknowledge that. You have killed so many thousands of innocent people. Your own people have been killed for a war that makes no sense to anyone else, including your own people, except Vladimir Putin. Do you accept that on any level?
Yeah, there are big truth is your question. You're right. We have been not prepared for such kind of intensive war. We believe that liberation will be much more easy. And the fact that a lot of people in Ukrainian families have been killed, of course, it's not make their attitude towards Russia better.
Yes. Yuriy, do you compromise at all? How does this war end? How do your people stop dying?
This war ends in the inevitable victory of the Ukrainian army. We are, every time these terrorists and war criminals carry out another massive missile or drone attack, and mind you, last night there was another missile attack, drone attack, and we have shot down 10 out of 13. So 3 actually made it to their targets. And this is why we're appealing to our allies to continue to provide us with air defense systems. And we are appealing to the Australian government as well. First of all, I'd like to thank the Australian government for the latest military package, but I would like to also express our hope that this is just the beginning of the continued support. And the Hawkeyes and the Bushmasters, and in particular the Hawkeyes, which can be used as air defense systems and which can be used to shoot down Iranian drones, they are very, very vital. So we end this war by defeating the terrorist regime on the battlefield, and judging by the events of the last week, that country will probably disintegrate, and the future will be more stable as a result.
Thank you, Yuriy. Sergei, you know Putin very, very well. If what Yuriy is saying and Russia is significantly weakening, this war is not working out, Does he go nuclear? What does he do when he's backed into a corner, Putin?
As Erin mentioned, this rebellion also shows that Russia is not easy situation, and partly dysfunctioning of the governmental structures. And Vladimir Putin, I think, will have to change. Now, the discussion started in Russia about using tactical nuclear weaponry, probably not Ukraine, because Ukraine, they are our brothers who is under the occupation of the United States of America.
Even I can't. Sergei, I know that you're not involved directly, but I can't sit here and let you say that they're your brothers, given the war that you've waged on those people.
Sergei just proved that Russia is a Russia is a backward, failed state. Backward, failed state. You are doomed.
He looks like fascists. Believe me, they're fascists. They look like people for terrorists.
Yes,
they're doing terrorism.
We are fascists and you're angels. We are fascists and you're angels who are killing our fascist children. Well done.
Believe me.
Okay. Sergei, I thank you very much. I don't agree with really anything that you say, but I thank you so much for helping us try to understand. I thank you for joining me. Yuriy Sak, as always, I thank you very much, and I wish the people of Ukraine all the best, and we will continue to support you every single day until this is over. Both of you, thank you.